Okay, over here.
What happens to pastors' pensions if they leave the ELCA?
The question is, what happens to pastors' pensions if they leave the ELCA?
If they leave the ELCA to join LCMC, I can tell you exactly what happens. First of all, pastors' pensions are completely safe, no matter what happens. Pastors' pensions are safe. Stay in the ELCA, leave the ELCA, for whatever reason, their pensions are safe. So they don't have to worry about their pensions. If they leave the ELCA to join LCMC, we have a reciprocity agreement that was negotiated with the Board of Pensions of the ELCA by Barry Anderson, who is now one of the justices of the Minnesota Supreme Court, and who was the chair of our Board of Trustees at the time. Actually, I think he was still on the WordAlone board when he negotiated the reciprocity agreement with the Board of Pensions of the ELCA that allows for the pastor's entire pension accumulation to be transferred from the ELCA Board of Pensions to the LCMC pension plan in a lump sum without penalty after they leave the ELCA roster if they so desire. They can also keep it. Jerry, go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt you, though.
Yeah, you
I'm just going through this process. It's a big problem, but anyhow,
yeah.
It does work that way.
Yeah.
Pastors in the ELCA, I'm one of the pastors here, I look at your pension plan. There's two categories. The employer, what they put in, and the employee. At 59.5, the pastor can take 20% out of what the employer put in and put over here, use as he wants. After that, you're only allowed 10% of your pension a year. Now, when I went to a pre-retirement seminar, they said, oh, it's all transferable, but it's not.
But
pastors are better off.
Right.
I got all this converted when we left the LCMC, but when you say your pension's safe, well, it is, but you can't use it, Bill.
Yeah, in the ELCA pension plan.
Yeah, that's the ELCA one.
Yeah.
So it isn't just, it's going to be there until you get
Right.
$100,000.
Yeah, that's
Take
true.
it all out.
It is, and all those things are true about the ELCA's plan, but it's also true what I just told you as far as moving it from the ELCA plan to the LCMC plan. You can do it in a lump sum without penalty if you so desire. And then when you get it to the LCMC plan, you have full control over it there. So, I mean, it's subject to the same rules that the government applies on everybody else, that if you withdraw pension monies before a certain age, it's subject to a penalty and all that kind of good stuff. But you have full control over it if you move it to our plan. So, it's something that many, that pastors are doing every week. And I did it when I first got out. It's worked just fine. I will tell you this, that the reciprocity agreement that we have with the Board of Pensions is subject to, they can cancel it at their discretion. We don't have any say in it. They can cut it off. I mean, we could end it ourselves if we wanted to as well, but they can end it. They can say you can't do it anymore. And if, 1,000 pastors in the ELCA decided to do it, they would probably put a stop to it. But so I guess what I would tell you is that there's no time like the present to get that done if you're thinking about it.
The other little bit of information is that about 4 or 5 years ago, the Board of Pensions went to the Church Council of the ELCA and asked the council to change the policy. The previous policy had been that if a congregation withdrew from the ELCA, they could no longer participate in the benefits plan, both health insurance and dental and all that, and the pension. The Board of Pensions, they saw what was coming and knew it wasn't good for the well-being of the members of the ELCA's plan, so they said change the policies and give congregations the option, if they want, to continue to participate in the ELCA plan. So that is an option. They're bundled, so if you want to stay in the health and other benefits, you also have to stay in the pension. The other option you have is to, you can leave the money in the ELCA pension and then just start a second new pension account, and Thrivent or anybody will do that for you. So there are a number of options, but Bill is right. Once the money is invested or contributed into your individual account, doesn't matter what you do as a pastor or as a congregation. And unfortunately, there's a lot of really bad false rumors out there. So.
We're going to have to close up soon, so I'm just going to take a few more questions right here.
Lutheran Church. What do we do? We've had a small conversation with our pastor. He is in favor of all the ELCA, and basically he did the bully tactic. Well, we're not going to talk about this anymore, and I'll leave if we leave the ELCA. Which to me, that was like, see ya, I don't care. But other people in our congregation who don't know anything about it, and there's a very large number at our church. Even when he says, "Oh, I did this and I did this." So I guess maybe some direction in terms of how, I know the education stuff sounds great and I want to get my hands on that and start a house church idea, but any other ideas about how to deal with him and the power?
I'm just going to make a quick comment on this. The question was, if you do find yourself in a situation where your pastor is taking a firm stance and saying, listen, we're going to either you shut up or I'm gone, and that's what do we do there? What's a lay person supposed to do there? I guess my advice, and as a laity leader, is I think starting small groups that talk about this. Take your time. There is no rush here. The fact is that to have the worst thing for our movement is when we start bullying. That's the very worst thing. We need to be patient. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of ignorance, and Christ. We are asking we'll say other communities to hold themselves accountable to God's law. Well, we have to hold ourselves accountable to Christ's law of love your enemy. And we place ourselves under that, and we serve all these people who need to learn. And it's going to take a lot of time, and yes, you're not going to be able to do it from the pulpit all the time. But so take your time, small groups, start other small groups. So, there's no rush here. So that's just my input.
Yeah, I mean, Mike is exactly right. I mean, you can try initially if you've got a few people and approach both your pastor and your church council and ask that there be a public discussion of this. If they say no, then try to, on your own, inform as many people as you can, and then have a plan. And again, Mike is right, take your time, but have a plan, pray about it, about how you will once again make the request of your church council. If that doesn't work, then consider taking it to an annual congregational meeting, or there are provisions in your constitution for calling a special meeting. Now, in some places, your group may think about this study and pray and decide, we're not going to do that, and you may decide that you just need to leave. But again, each situation is different. At least your pastor has identified where he stands. I mean, there are too many pastors and a whole lot of bishops, at least a third of them, who have yet to publicly say where they stand. And I completely agree with pastors abusing their office and bullying, but it's better to know where your pastor or your bishop stands than to play this game of, oh, well, we're just trying to be a pastor to everybody.